Okay, so I know you're really eager to jump in and make your plans for the homeschool year, pick out the curriculum and all the things. But before you get started with that, there is a really important thing that I suggest you doing that was really helpful for me before you get to that place. And that would be defining what the goals are for your child for the school year. And we're talking academic goals, but bigger than that, like larger, holistic goals for your child. So that's what this video is going to be about. Welcome to Homeschooling You, where we bring home to school and school to home, and we discuss all things you and your growth in the process. My name is Takia. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom of one, and a leadership coach, consultant, and speaker. And as I just said, this video is going to be focused on setting great goals for your children and goals and plans that come out of who our children are and what they need, and also come out of like who we are. So, first thing that I want you to do is think about, what are you missing if you jump ahead to making plans without first thinking about what your goals are. You can jump on a popular curriculum bandwagon that you need to get off of. You can plan on doing what somebody else is doing just because. And you can make plans that are just a miss for your children. And if you're already there, that's great, y'all. That's great, y'all. I mean, how many of us have not done that? Just jumped ahead, eager to plan, eager to get the thing going without really sitting back and defining, like, what are my goals in this process? So, listen, there will be some misses in homeschooling. We're all learning and growing together. And what you do from that point on is just learn the lesson and redirect yourself, right? So before plans and before curriculums, you want to think about where is your child right now? Think about assessing where your child is right now. Where are they academically, emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, and spiritually? And for this, you have to do an honest assessment because y'all know sometimes when we do assessments, instead of thinking about where we actually are, we think about where we think we are or where we want to be. I mean, I know not you, but sometimes when I think about my health goals, my starting point for losing weight is where I am in my mind, but not where I actually am because I haven't actually gotten on the scale. So that's what that we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that when it comes to thinking about goals for our children. We want to take an honest assessment of like where they actually are. And sometimes this can be hard to do because we might have lofty ideas of like where we actually want our children to be, and we'll get to that part. But first, we need to be really, really honest about where they currently are. And ways to do this is to think about, how their last academic year went, whether they were homeschooled or private, public, any mixture of schooling, no matter what schooling background they came from, to really take into account how did they do in that academic setting, how was their performance, their academic performance. I know right before my son and I transitioned to homeschooling, I was seeing like work come home, and so I was able to see from the work that was coming home, like where his areas of growth were, where his strengths were, the subjects that he was more excited about than others. And so I kind of knew all that going in, but I had to really take it in a comprehensive way to think about, okay, what does this mean for where he should be going? So you want to be really honest about where your child is and remember the clues. A lot of clues are going to be from that previous academic year or academic years, grades, performance, passion, interest, all those things, how the school year went. And then, really be able to identify this is where my child is at. And again, like I said, not just academically, there were some things that were going on for my son at his previous school that really affected him like emotionally. And so I had to do a more holistic assessment of like, where is my kid's soul? Like, where is his spirit? Because there were some things, because he's a very sensitive child, just like I was growing up. Nothing wrong with that. Shout out to all of our sensitive folks out there. But there were some things that sort of like crushed his spirit in the process. And I had to really sit with that and say, how was he impacted in his previous environment and where is he now emotionally, spiritually, and also socially. And y'all know the schools can have the drama, right? And I feel like his school drama started in kindergarten. It gets younger and younger. I feel like I personally didn't have school drama to maybe like third grade. the bully, the little boy that kept pulling my hair, but he probably really liked me, the trying to figure out the friendship circles and all that. But I'm pretty sure it started for my son. Different friendship dynamics started for him in kindergarten. But you also want to think about how are they doing socially, and that was a big, big thing for my son. Even when we transitioned between second and third grade to homeschooling, friendships, social circles, all of that was really big for him. And really think about how has that impacted your child as well. So you are considering this before you even get to plans, picking curriculum. You're thinking about where is my child, an honest assessment academically, emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, and spiritually. Now, the next thing you want to think about is where do you hope that they will be in these areas? And this goes back to what I was sharing in a previous video about vision. Like, what is your vision for the year? What is the vision that you have for your child? And I talked about how vision is, just dreaming about what God might want to do in the life of your child. So not only do you want to identify A, where your child is currently at, but you want to be able to identify B, where do you think they're going? Like, where is it? Who is it that you think that they're becoming? What have you received from God about who your child is and where God might want to take them in this school year? Now, I did a little visual for those that are visual because I found out this year that my son is a visual learner. I thought he was visual, audio, and kinesthetic, and I thought something seemed kind of weird about that because can you really be a multi? I mean, maybe you can be a multi-style learner. I thought he was leaning way more towards kinesthetic because he does a lot with his hands, and this year we really landed on him being a visual learner, that concepts really click for him when he sees things visually. So if there's any visual learners that follow homeschooling you, right here, you want to be thinking about where your child is, the current reality, your child or children. And then you want to think about where you hope for them to be, him or her, them to be. That's the vision, right? The goals and the plan, the concrete stuff that will get them from A to B is all right here along the way, right? But you have to wait to identify the goals and the plans until you identify these two pieces. Where are you starting and where are you going? Once you have identified that, then it is my child currently, where do I believe that my child is going for this year? Then you can start thinking about goals. Like, what are the things that would help your child get from A to B? Some of the goals that I have for my son for this year was to see him grow his heart for God, God's word, God's people, and God's purposes in the earth. Since we are a Christian family, we are believers. Our whole lives are built around God, Jesus Christ, the Word of God, all of that, our faith. And so that was like one of my number one goals for him this year, was seeing his personal relationship with Jesus Christ really take off this year. And so again, that's not an academic goal. Like, here's my goals right underneath the homeschool vision. But that is a priority goal for me because I want that to be his faith to be a foundation for his life. Another one of the goals I had for him was to settle into a good learning rhythm and pace for him as a growing independent learner. And so this year, he was going into his fourth grade year, and I really wanted him to grow, for him and for me, to go into becoming more of an independent learner. So what were some of the things that I did with that? See, that informed some of the curriculum that I picked. So some of the language arts curriculum I picked were books that he could do independently. That informed one of the reading goals that I had for him that was advised by our consultant through our umbrella school, which is through my church. Shout out to Embassy Homeschool. And I'll put that website down below in case anybody wants to check it out and you need an umbrella. But one of his reading goals was to be able to do independent reading, sustained silent reading for 20 minutes by the end of the year. And again, that's helping him to learn how to be an independent learner. And it's also a goal that he needed for his academic growth. So I want you to think about where your child is right now, right? Honest assessment. Think about where it is that they are going. Where do you hope for them to go? Who do you hope for them to become? Vision. And then number three, what fills in the gaps to get them from where they are to where you hope for them to be is the goals and the concrete plan. And then once you get your goals, then you can start working on your plans, which include curriculum picks and all of those things. So I want you to take some time to think about this. If I want to see my child become blank, a goal for this year towards that is this. The accompanying plan is this. And I'll put that in the comments for you to be able to see that. But again, if I want to see my child become blank, a goal for this year towards that is blank, an accompanying plan is blank. And I just shared examples from my son about what that looks like when you actually do the workings out of that. And then you can get started on, picking. Now you can pick curriculum that fit not only like learning style, but the actual level that they are, right? So we don't want to go into the year thinking, okay, my child naturally is going to the third grade, so I want to pick level 3 or third grade curriculum. First of all, not all curriculums are created equal, is one thing that I've learned. Level 3 in one curriculum could mean something really different in a different type of curriculum. But you also want to do assessments, and a lot of the curriculums, before you purchase them, you can go online to their websites and do like their online assessment to help guide what level you start them at. And so again, assessments can be really good for what being honest about where your child really is, because it does them no good to get a curriculum of where you think they should be or where you hope that they are already. We need to be able to meet our children where they are and help them get to the next step, right? And so use those assessments before you purchase the curriculum to right size and right pick the best curriculum for your child. And again, that all goes back to what are the goals, right? So again, I picked some curriculum that was more geared towards him doing independently because one of my goals was for him to become a more independent learner. So you want to take the goals that you have now for your child and think about the concrete plans. And a lot of people, of course, start with the curriculum. But this could also, your goals could also inform things like your space, your flow for the day, um, and other things that go into actually making the homeschool year happen. So I'm looking forward to sharing more about how to get into those concrete plans. And as always, because this is homeschooling you, I want you to think about, do you have any personal goals that you want to set in your life right now? A lot of us do this at the beginning of the calendar year, but really you could do this at any point you decide that you're ready to make a change in your life and you're ready to do something different. You can, based off of what? Honest assessment, y'all. And thinking about where you want to go, set a goal to help you to get there. And it is always good for us to be able to pour in, invest in ourselves, to be working on our own personal goals while we're homeschooling our children, right? For us, and also for them to see parents who are not only pouring in and investing into them, but who are pouring in and investing into themselves and reaching goals, their own personal goals in their personal lives. I hope this video was helpful. I really had fun pulling out my visual stuff and and getting some of the information to you. If you enjoyed it, please do share with a friend if it was helpful. Like, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Bye.